Goswami has been describing the Manus, and he happens to mention Ajita, which is one of the incarnations of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so Parikshit Maharaj immediately catches on to this, and he wants to know the details about the entire story, about why and how the churning happened, and everything about that little remark that that Sukhdev Goswami makes. So then Sukhdev Goswami starts narrating this story, and so what has happened right now is the demigods were defeated. They lost all their prowess, and they were defeated because of an offense that was caused by Indra, who is the head of the demigods. He disrespected the blessing of a Vaishnava, of a devotee, in the form of Durvas Muni, who gave him the garland. And he just gives that garland to his elephant, Airavat. And Airavat, I remember this lecture suddenly, Maharaj is saying, even though he's the best of elephants, but he's still an elephant. So he doesn't know what to do with it. And then he just tramples on the garland. And because of that one incident, it leads to, like, everything goes south basically after that. So the demigods go to Brahma and they inform him of the incident that happened. And Brahmaji takes them to Shweta Dweep, which is situated on the ocean of Milk, which is where the Supreme Personality of Godhead resides. And so the demigods, headed by Brahma, they are offering their prayers for the Lord to appear. And that's the story up until now that we've read in the last chapter. So let's go ahead and read the verses. We're doing 2 chapters today, 8.6 and 8.7. So there are like 85 verses, which should be around 15 verses and 6 people. So let me just share the verses. Is this view okay, Prabhuji, or this is Srimad Bhagavad?
Can't see the verses, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Are you sharing the verse? We can see the PowerPoint.
Yeah, okay, I'm going to share the verses. Yeah.
Yeah, looks good. Yeah.
8.6, the demigods and demons declare a truce. Yes. Yes, Nupur, you can begin from text 1 to 15.
15.
Yes.
Sri Shukadev Goswami said, O King Parikshit, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, being thus worshipped with prayers by the demigods, and Lord Brahma appeared before them. His bodily effulgence resembled the simultaneous rising of thousands of suns. The vision of all the demigods was blocked by the Lord's effulgence. Thus, they could see neither the sky, the directions, the land, nor even themselves. What to speak of seeing the Lord who was present before them? Lord Brahma, along with Lord Shiva, saw the crystal clear personal beauty of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose blackish body resembles a Markata gem, whose eyes are reddish like the depths of a lotus, who is dressed with garments that are yellow like molten gold, and whose entire body is attractively decorated. They saw his beautiful smiling lotus-like face crowned by a helmet bedecked with valuable jewels. The Lord has attractive eyebrows, and his cheeks are adorned with earrings. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva saw the belt on the Lord's waist, the bangles on his arms, the necklace on his chest, and the ankle belts on his legs. The Lord is bedecked with flower garlands, his neck is decorated with Kaustubha gem, and he carries with him the goddess of fortune, and his personal weapons like his disc and club. When Lord Brahma, along with Lord Shiva and other demigods, thus saw the form of the Lord, they all immediately fell to the ground, offering their obeisances. Lord Brahma said, although you are never born, your appearance and disappearance as an incarnation never cease. You are always free from the material qualities, and you are the shelter of transcendental bliss, resembling an ocean. Eternally existing in your transcendental form, you are the supreme subtle of the most extremely subtle. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto you, the Supreme, whose existence is inconceivable. O best of persons, O Supreme Director, those who actually aspire for supreme good fortune worship this form of your lordship according to the Vedic tantras. My lord, we can see all the three worlds in you. My dear lord, who are always fully independent, this entire cosmic manifestation arises from you, rests upon you, and ends in you. Your lordship is the beginning, sustenance, and end of everything, like the earth, which is the cause of an earthen pot, which supports the pot, and to which the pot, when broken, finally returns. O Supreme, you are independent in yourself and do not take help from others. Through your own potency, you create this cosmic manifestation and enter into it. Those who are advanced in Krishna consciousness, who are fully in knowledge of the authoritative Shastra, and who through the practice of Bhakti Yoga are cleansed of all material contamination, can see with clear minds that although you exist within transformations of the material qualities, your presence is untouched by these qualities. As one can derive fire from wood, milk from the milk bag of the cow, food grains, and water from the land, and prosperity in one's livelihood from industrial enterprises, so by the practice of Bhakti Yoga, even within this material world, one can achieve your favor or intelligently approach you. Those who are pious all affirm this. Elephants afflicted by a forest fire become very happy when they get water from the Ganges. Similarly, O my Lord, from whose navel grows a lotus flower, since you have now appeared before us, we have become transcendently happy by seeing your Lordship, whom we have desired to see for a very long time. We have achieved our ultimate goal in life. My Lord, we, the various demigods, the directors of the universe, have come to your lotus feet. Please fulfill the purpose for which we have come. You are the witness of everything from within and without. Nothing is unknown to you, and therefore it is unnecessary to inform you again of anything. I, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and all the demigods, accompanied by the Prajapatis like Daksha, are nothing but sparks illuminated by you, who are the original fire. Since we are particles of you, what can we understand about our welfare? O Supreme Lord, please give us the means of deliverance that is suitable for the Brahmanas and demigods. To Krishna.
Megha, you want to go next? From
Shukadev Goswami, sorry, from where?
16 to 30.
Okay. Shukadev Goswami continued. When the Lord was thus offered prayers by the demigods, headed by Lord Brahma, he understood the purpose for which they have approached him. Therefore, in a deep voice that resembled the rumbling of clouds, the Lord replied to the demigods, who all stood there attentively with folded hands. Although the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the master of the demigods, was capable of performing the activities of the demigods by himself, he wanted to enjoy pastimes in churning the ocean. Therefore, he spoke as follows. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and other demigods, please hear me with great attention, for what I say will bring good fortune for you all. As long as you are not flourishing, you should make a truce with the demons and asuras, who are now being favored by time. O demigods, Fulfilling one's own interest is so important that one may even have to make a truce with one's enemies. For the sake of one's self interest, one has to act according to the logic of the snake and the mouse. Immediately endeavor to produce nectar, which a person who is about to die may drink to become immortal. O demigods, cast into the ocean of milk all kinds of vegetables, grass, creepers, and drugs. Then, with my help, making Mandara mountain the churning rod and Vashuki the rope for churning, churn the ocean of milk with undiverted attention. Thus, the demons will be engaged in labor, but you, the demigods, will gain the actual result, the nectar produced from the ocean. My dear demigods, with patience and peace, everything can be done. But if one is agitated by anger, the goal is not achieved. Therefore, whatever the demons ask, agree to their proposal. A poison known as Kalkuta will be generated from the ocean of milk, but you should not fear it. And when various products are churned from the ocean, you should not be greedy for them or anxious to obtain them, nor should you be angry. Shukadev Goswami continued, O King Parikshit, after advising the demigods in this way, the independent Supreme Personality of Godhead, the best of all living entities, disappeared from their presence. Then Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, after offering their respectful obeisances to the Lord, returned to their abodes. All the demigods then approached Maharaj Bali. Maharaj Bali, a most celebrated king of the demons, knew very well when to make peace and when to fight. Thus, although his commanders and captains were agitated and were about to kill the demigods, Maharaj Bali, seeing that the demigods were coming to him without a militant attitude, forbade his commanders to kill them. The demigods approached Bali Maharaj, the son of Virochan, and sat down near him. Bali Maharaj was protected by the commanders of the demons and was most opulent, having conquered the entire universe. After pleasing Bali Maharaj with mild words, Lord Indra, the king of the demigods, who was most intelligent, very politely submitted all the proposals he had learned from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu.
Thank you, Megha. Vishal Prakash Prabhu, 31 to 45.
The proposals submitted by King Indra were immediately accepted by Bali Maharaj and his assistants, headed by Sambara and Arishtanemi, and by all the other residents of Tripura. O Maharaj Parikshit, chastiser of enemies, the demigods and the demons thereafter made an armistice between them. Then, with great enterprise, they arranged to produce nectar as proposed by Lord Indra. Thereafter, with great strength, the demons and demigods, who were all very powerful and who had long, stout arms, uprooted Mandara mountain. Crying very loudly, they brought it towards the ocean of milk. Because of conveying the great mountain for a long distance, King Indra, Maharaj Bali, and the other demigods and demons became fatigued. Being unable to carry the mountain, they left it on the way. The mountain known as Mandara, which was extremely heavy, being made of gold, fell and smashed many demigods and demons. The demigods and demons were frustrated and disheartened, and their arms, thighs, and shoulders were broken. Therefore, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who knows everything, appeared there on the back of his carrier, Garuda. Observing that most of the demons and the demigods had been crushed by the falling of the mountain, the Lord glanced over them and brought them back to life. Thus, they became free from grief, and they even had no bruises on their bodies. The Lord very easily lifted the mountain with one hand and placed it on the back of Garuda. Then he too got on the back of Garuda and went to the ocean of milk, surrounded by the demigods and demons. Thereafter, Garuda, the chief of birds, unloaded Mandara mountain from his shoulder and brought it near the water. Then he was asked by the Lord to leave that place, and he left.
Thank you, Vishal Prakash Prabhu. I'll just share the next chapter.
Yeah. Sukadev Goswami said, O best of the Kurus, Maharaj Parikshit, the demigods and demons summoned Vasuki, the king of the serpents, requesting him to come and promising to give him a share of the nectar. They coiled Vasuki around Mandara mountain as a churning rope, and with great pleasure they endeavored to produce nectar by the churning of milk. The personality of Godhead, Ajita, grasped the front portion of the snake, and then the demigods followed. The leader of the demons thought it unwise to hold the tail, the inauspicious portion of the snake. Instead, they wanted to hold the front, which had been taken by the personality of Godhead and the demigods, because that portion was auspicious and glorious. Thus, the demons, on the plea that they were all highly advanced students of Vedic knowledge and were all famous for their birth and activities, protested that they wanted to hold the front of the snake. Thus, the demons remained silent, opposing the desire of the demigods. Seeing the demons and understanding their motive, the personality of Godhead smiled. Without discussion, he immediately accepted the proposal by grasping the tail of the snake, and the demigods followed him. After thus adjusting how the snake was to be held, the sons of Kashyapa, both demigods and demons, began their activities, desiring to get nectar by churning the ocean of milk. O son of the Pandu dynasty, when Mandara mountain was thus being used as a churning rod in the ocean of milk, it had no support, and therefore, although held by the strong hands of the demigods and demons, it sank into the water. Do you want me to continue, Mataji?
You can continue till 10 so that we're on.
Okay. Because the mountain had been sunk by the strength of providence, the demigods and demons were disappointed, and their faces seemed to shrivel. Seeing the situation that had been created by the will of the Supreme, the unlimitedly powerful Lord, whose determination is infallible, took the wonderful shape of a tortoise, entered the water, and lifted the great Mandara mountain. When the demigods and demons saw that Mandara mountain had been lifted, they were enlivened and encouraged to begin churning again. The mountain rested on the back of the great tortoise, which extended for 800,000 miles like a large island. O king, when the demigods and demons, by the strength of their arms, rotated Mandara mountain on the back of the extraordinary tortoise, the tortoise accepted the rolling of the mountain as a means of scratching his body, and thus he felt a pleasing sensation.
Thank you, Vishal Prakash Prabhu. Soham, you want to continue
Yes, Mataji.
10 to, 25?
Yes. Thereafter, Lord Vishnu entered the demons as the quality of passion, the demigods as the quality of goodness, and Vasuki as the quality of ignorance to encourage them and increase their various types of strength and energy. Manifesting himself with thousands of hands, the Lord then appeared on the summit of Mandara mountain, like another great mountain, and held Mandara mountain with one hand. In the upper planetary systems, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, along with Indra, king of heaven, and other demigods, offered prayers to the Lord and showered flowers upon him. The demigods and demons worked almost madly for the nectar. Encouraged by the Lord, who was above and below the mountain, and who had entered the demigods, the demons, Vasuki, and the mountain itself, because of the strength of the demigods and demons, the ocean of milk was so powerfully agitated that all the alligators in the water were very much perturbed. Nonetheless, the churning of ocean continued in this way. Vasuki had thousands of eyes and mouths. From his mouths he breathed smoke and blazing fire, which affected the demons headed by Pauloma, Kaleya, Bali, and Ilvala. Thus, the demons who appeared like Sarala trees burned by a forest fire gradually became powerless. Because the demigods were also affected by the blazing breath of Vasuki, their bodily lusters diminished and their garments, garlands, weapons, and faces were blackened by smoke. However, by the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, clouds appeared on the sea, pouring torrents of rain, and breezes blew, carrying particles of water from the sea waves to give the demigods relief. When nectar did not come from the ocean of milk, despite so much endeavor by the best of the demigods and the demons, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Ajita, personally began to churn the ocean. The Lord appeared like a blackish cloud. He was dressed with yellow garments. His earrings shone on his ears like lightning, and his hair spread all over his shoulders. He wore a garland of flowers, and his eyes were pinkish. With his strong, glorious arms, which avowed fearlessness throughout the universe, he took hold of Vasuki and began churning the ocean, using Mandara mountain as a churning rod. When engaged in this way, the Lord appeared like a beautifully situated mountain named Indranila. The fish, sharks, tortoises, and snakes were most agitated and perturbed. The entire ocean became turbulent, and even the large aquatic animals like whales, water elephants, crocodiles, and Timingila fish, large whales that can swallow small whales, came to the surface. While the ocean was being churned in this way, it first produced a fiercely dangerous poison called halahal. O king, when that uncontrollable poison was forcefully spreading up and down in all directions, all the demigods, along with the Lord himself, approached Lord Shiva, Sadashiva. Feeling unsheltered and very much afraid, they sought shelter of him. The demigods observed Lord Shiva sitting on the summit of Kailasa hill with his wife Bhavani for the auspicious development of the three worlds. He was being worshipped by great saintly persons desiring liberation. The demigods offered him their obeisances and prayers with great respect. The Prajapati said, O greatest of all demigods, Mahadeva, supersoul of all living entities and cause of their happiness and prosperity, we have come to the shelter of your lotus feet. Now please save us from this fiery poison which is spreading all over the three worlds. O Lord, you are the cause of bondage and liberation of the entire universe because you are its ruler. Those who are advanced in spiritual consciousness surrender unto you, and therefore you are the cause of mitigating their distress. And you are also the cause of their liberation. We therefore worship your lordship. O Lord, you are the self effulgent and supreme. You create this material world by your personal energy, and you assume the names Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara when you act in creation, maintenance, and annihilation. You are the cause of all causes, the self effulgent, inconceivable, impersonal Brahman, which is originally Parabrahman. You manifest various potencies in this cosmic manifestation. O Lord, you are the original source of Vedic literature. You are the original cause of material creation, the life force, the senses, the five elements, the three modes, and the Mahat Tattva. You are eternal time, determination, and the two religious systems called truth, Satya, and truthfulness, Rita. You are the shelter of the syllable Om, which consists of three letters, A, Uma. Should I continue, Mataji?
Is there someone else? Oh, yeah, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu.
Yeah. So I'll complete the chapter, right?
Yes, it's fine. Yes, Prabhu, you can. I mean, if you're fine with reading.
O Father of all planets, learned scholars know that fire is your mouth, the surface of the globe is your lotus feet, eternal time is your movement, all the directions are your ears, and Varuna, master of the waters, is your tongue. O Lord, the sky is your navel, the air is your breathing, the sun is your eyes, and the water is your semen. You are the shelter of all kinds of living entities, high and low. The god of the moon is your mind, and the upper planetary system is your head. O Lord, you are the three Vedas personified. The seven seas are your abdomen, and the mountains are your bones. All drugs, creepers, and vegetables are the hairs on your body, and the Vedic mantras like Gayatri are the 7 layers of your body, and the Vedic religious system is the core of your heart. O Lord, the 5 important Vedic mantras are represented by your 5 faces, from which the 38 most celebrated Vedic mantras have been generated. Your Lordship, being celebrated as Lord Shiva, is self illuminated. You are directly situated as the Supreme Truth, known as Paramatma. O Lord, your shadow is seen in irreligion, which brings about varieties of irreligious creations. The 3 modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, are your 3 eyes. All the Vedic literatures, which are full of verses, are emanations from you because their compilers wrote the various scriptures after receiving your glance. O Lord Girisha, since the impersonal Brahman effulgence is transcendental to the material modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance, the various directors of this material world certainly cannot appreciate it or even know where it is. It is not understandable even to Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, or the King of Heaven, Mahendra. When annihilation is performed by the flames and sparks emanating from your eyes, the entire creation is burned to ashes. Nonetheless, you do not know how this happens. What then is to be said of your destroying the Daksha Yajna, Tripurasura, and the Kalakuta poison? Such activities cannot be subject matters for prayers offered to you. Exalted, self satisfied persons who preach to the entire world think of your lotus feet constantly within their hearts. However, when persons who do not know your austerity see you moving with Uma, they misunderstand you to be lusty. Or when they see you wandering in the crematorium, they mistakenly think that you are ferocious and envious. Certainly, they are shameless. They cannot understand your activities. Even personalities like Lord Brahma and other demigods cannot understand your position, for you are beyond the moving and non moving creation. Since no one can understand you in truth, how can one offer you prayers? It is impossible. As far as we are concerned, we are creatures of Lord Brahma's creation. Under the circumstances, therefore, we cannot offer you adequate prayers. But as far as our ability allows, we have expressed our feelings. O greatest of all rulers, your actual identity is impossible for us to understand. As far as we can see, your presence brings flourishing happiness to everyone. Beyond this, no one can appreciate your activities. We can see this much and nothing more. Srila Shukdev Goswami continued, Lord Shiva is always benevolent toward all living entities. When he saw that the living entities were very much disturbed by the poison which was spreading everywhere, he was very compassionate. Thus he spoke to his eternal consort Sati as follows. Lord Shiva said, my dear Bhavani, just see how all these living entities have been placed in danger because of the poison produced from the churning of the ocean of milk. It is my duty to give protection and safety to all living entities struggling for existence. Certainly, it is the duty of the master to protect his suffering dependents. People in general, being bewildered by the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are always engaged in animosity toward one another. But devotees, even at the risk of their own temporary lives, try to save them. How many verses are there in this? 46. Okay. Okay, I'll just finish.
I can go for the rest, Prabhuji.
Okay, go ahead. Mataji.
Yeah. Where did you stop? Sorry.
39 I read. No, 40 I read. No, 39 I read. Yeah.
I can read also.
No,
Sure,
wait.
Prabhuji. Sure.
Th- 39 onwards, you can read.
People in general, being bewildered by the illusory energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, are always engaged in animosity toward one another. But devotees, even at the risk of their own temporary lives, try to save them. My dear gentle wife Bhavani, when one performs benevolent activities for others, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari is very pleased. And when the Lord is pleased, I am also pleased, along with all other living creatures. Therefore, let me drink this poison, for all the living entities may thus become happy because of me. Srila Sukadeva Goswami continued. After informing Bhavani in this way, Lord Shiva began to drink the poison, and Bhavani, who knew perfectly well the capabilities of Lord Shiva, gave him her permission to do so. Thereafter, Lord Shiva, who is dedicated to auspicious, benevolent work for humanity, compassionately took the whole quantity of poison in his palm and drank it. As if in defamation, the poison born from the ocean of milk manifested its potency by marking Lord Shiva's neck with a bluish line. That line, however, is now accepted as an ornament of the Lord. It is said that great personalities almost always accept voluntary suffering because of the suffering of people in general. This is considered the highest method of worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is present in everyone's heart. Upon hearing of this act, everyone, including Bhavani, the daughter of Maharaj Daksha, Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and people in general, very highly praise this deed performed by Lord Shiva, who is worshipped by the demigods and who bestows benedictions upon the people. Scorpions, cobras, poisonous drugs, and other animals whose bites are poisonous took the opportunity to drink whatever little poison had fallen and scattered from Lord Shiva's hand while he was drinking. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you all, dear readers. It was quite a marathon of reading. Okay, I'm going to share my PPT. So I'm just going to share the chapter breakup. So in the 8.6 chapter, that is the demons and demigods declared a truce, the first verses were about the description of the Lord. And then we read about the prayers by Lord Brahma after seeing the Lord. And 8.6.13 is one of the verses that I'm going to go deeper into. After which Lord Vishnu instructed the demigods to go and make a truce with the demons because they needed that help to churn the milk ocean. And then we saw the efforts of the combined efforts of the demigods and the demons. In 8.7, we read about the roles that Lord Vishnu plays. He's basically permeating the entire Samudra Manthan Leela. And then the halahal poison appears, and we're going to discuss 8.7.19 in more detail. After which the demigods go to Shivji to offer prayers to be able to deal with this poison. And then in the end, we have the glories of Lord Shiva. Okay. So before I go into these deeper themes, I just wanted to talk about two overarching themes in this Samudra Manthan. One of them is that these demigods are facing a severe crisis. They had so much power, wealth, long lives. They controlled entire divisions of the universe, but all of it was taken away in an instant, and their service was taken away. So in these examples, we see through these examples in Bhagavatam, how to respond to these emergencies and also practice bhakti in a proper spirit when we go through something like that. So here, from this particular point, we learn that the demigods approached Brahma, who takes them to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we basically approach a guru or a mentor who reconnects us to Krishna. So that's the point of note here. The second theme was I was hearing Braj Bihari Prabhu's lecture, and he was really giving this great analogy of the sadhakas being, as a sadhaka, we are constantly battered by the demons of our own mind. And we try to use every single formula and strategy to deal with these demons, but ultimately we realize that all of them are somewhere failing. So, and this churning of the milk ocean that's happening, that's also analogous to the churning that's happening in our heart and mind because of the chanting that we're doing. As we begin to start chanting, these anarthas begin to rise. We notice them. We all know about the analogy. The mirror of the heart starts to become clearer. Like when you begin to actually dust a mirror, that's when you notice the dust just rising up. So that's how we really, like before Krishna consciousness, often we've never really even thought of the fact that we have lust or that we are envious or we are greedy. But after coming to Krishna consciousness, we feel like we really get to know of these anarthas. And then Prabhuji was explaining that often uh, once you take to the process, what we want to do is just psych ourselves to really get rid of all the anarthas in one go overnight. We just want to like chant and finish cleaning up the mirror. But we notice that it doesn't work. And the more mature ways is to just work with patience and faith and enthusiasm. Um, um, he was also mentioning about how this journey needs to take us deeper, and we need to go deeper into contemplation uh, and honest introspection within ourselves, which can help us survive the onslaught of the crazy mind. Um, Going ahead to one of the verses that we read today, 8.6.13. So this has a very beautiful purport. The devotees, these are just a few lines from the purport. The devotees of the Lord are always very eager to see the Supreme Lord face to face, but they do not demand that the Lord come before them. A pure devotee, whether able or unable to see the Lord, always engages in the Lord's devotional service, always hoping at some time the Lord may be pleased to appear before him so that he can see the Lord face to face. And so in this, the analogy of a elephant is given. An elephant who is in a forest fire, and spots forest fires are very I mean relevant to the recent past wildfire news that we've been reading about. So yes, this elephant is in this forest fire and he's just seeing the Ganges close by and imagining that relief that the elephant is seeing when elephant is feeling when he sees the Ganges close by. That is what that is an analogy given for when a pure devotee finally sees the Lord. So I just wanted to ask you this question here. Can I just wanted, like, can you all come up with examples of devotees who waited for a long time to see the Lord? Maybe they saw the Lord, maybe they didn't see the Lord. Any examples from the scriptures that you all can think of?
Gajendra, because you have
Yes. Yes, the elephant. Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Any other example?
In Chaitanya Charitamrita, like Narottam Das Thakur, he waited. He
Oh, yes.
didn't
Yes.
see the Lord, but yeah.
That's a great example. Yes. Shabri, Vallabh Chaitanya Prabhuji wrote Shabri. Yes, I thought of Shabri. Any other examples?
I mean, in one sense, the gopis, they saw, I mean, they united with the Lord, but then they had to wait for a long time. And like gopis and Vrajavasis in general.
Yes, that the Maharaj actually also mentions about the gopis that they were crying and yearning to see the Lord, and in that yearning they were with the Lord, but they weren't demanding to see the Lord. So that is yes, that's a great example. Another example that I was also thinking of was of Mukunda Datta in Chaitanya Charitamrita. He so I forget what reason Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that he won't see Mukunda Datta, and Mukunda is feels a little despondent, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that I'll see you after 10 million births. Correct me if the number is wrong. And Mukund Dutt is so happy that he just starts dancing in happiness that, okay, after 10 million births, for sure, I'm going to see him. So that was his enthusiasm and happiness that, I mean, if it was me and I heard someone say 10 million births, I would just give up then and there. But that was that's that is an example of a devotee who's just able to be patient and wait for the Lord. So Maharaj was mentioning in this lecture that I heard that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, "Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim," like not demanding anything from the Lord. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, "Maro bhi rakho bhi jo ichha tumhar," that you can just do anything that you want to do with me. I'm a puppet, and you can just make me dance as you want. So I wanted to ask you all this question, as me being a very impatient person. What how could I or us, anybody as a sadhaka, uh, develop this quality of patience on the spiritual path?
I can go.
Yeah.
One thing that helps me is loving relationships. So when you have good friendships among Vaishnavas and good relationships among Vaishnavas, then it's easier to be more patient. Because through that love of Vaishnavas, we kind of experience a glimpse of the love that the Lord has for us through the compassion of the Vaishnavas, through the compassion of the Guru. So I think that way, that is one way to remain sane in the wait. So,
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. I'm very lucky that I have this great uh, association of all of you, and so I think I'll be able to be on this path because of all of your association. Okay, if anybody else has anything to say about patience, now is the
In one
time.
sense, like having a desire is one thing, but I think that just understanding or realizing that I don't have the qualification to see the Lord itself kind of becomes the qualification. Whereas if we are kind of, I don't know, I'm not able to articulate it.
If you think you deserve to see the Lord, you
Yeah, kind of
probably don't deserve to see
right.
the Lord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Like the more
It reminds.
we are
Sorry, ma'am.
unqualified, the more we qualify ourselves. But then it should be done not knowing this formula, we cannot pretend also.
Yes,
Yeah, it's a very subtle thing. Yeah,
it's very internal. Yes.
internal. Yeah.
Yes, Krishnan Prabhu.
Yeah, so I think your question was about patience, and one way to develop patience is to see the Lord everywhere, like like it's explained in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. See him in the taste of water, see him in the heat and light of the sun, um, see him in our strength. Any strength that we have also comes from the Lord. As we as we go through our journey, and obviously this is very theoretical for me. I don't see him in all these things, but as if we continue doing that, I think our patience will be it won't feel that it's taking that long. It'll probably, the journey will start enjoying the journey a lot more.
Yeah, that makes sense, probably. Yeah, like seeing a sunset and just being reminded of the Lord. Like, yeah. pray noting down all of these things to help me get more patient. Okay, moving on.
Just one side point here, like almost like a conundrum. Is it okay if I tell, Mataji?
Sure, Prabhuji. I'm just figuring out how to go to the next slide. Yeah, please.
So like we are told that we should be enthusiastic also on one hand. At the same time, we are also said we are supposed to be patient. So it is it's a tough balance actually, I feel. Yeah.
Oh,
Of
yeah.
course, yeah, we could be patient and enthusiastic, but yeah, it's in one sense they not 180-degree opposite, but somewhat, I feel. Yeah.
Yeah, so this lecture that I was hearing by Vraj Bihari Prabhu, he was discussing about, I mean, there were these points where he was talking about what like this question was raised that when we are practicing and complacency comes in, and so how do you keep up that enthusiasm? And so he mentioned that because he's big into writing, so he's mentioning this, that having a written goal helps. That's one thing he says. And the other thing he also mentioned, similar to what you were saying, Prabhuji, earlier, is being in the association of fired up devotees is something that uh, helps to maintain enthusiasm and patience, I guess. Yes.
Got it, Mataji. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to move on. So in this, so we read the verse where it's explaining how the Lord is part of the entire Samudra Manthan in so many roles. Like he's playing so many roles there. So can you all identify all the roles that he's playing in this slide right now? You can just unmute yourself and speak. Every single place where the Lord is, you can see the Lord. Yeah.
He is there as Ajita.
Yes. So Ajita, by Ajita, where do you mean exactly?
The one standing in front of Brahma.
Yes, pulling and churning the yeah. So
Yeah.
that is one. What else?
He is like the Kurma avatar, the tortoise.
Yes. Somebody right. Vishnu with Garuda helping Mandara. Yes. What else? Do you all remember? He was permeating the consciousness in some way also, if you all remember.
It was
Passion and
Yes.
goodness.
Yes.
Also providing rains for as a relief.
Providing rains, probably.
Yeah, when there was a fire.
Oh, when they were,
coming
yes,
out.
when they were all, yeah. I actually missed mentioning that in the slide. Yeah, you all caught more things than me. Okay, so, yeah. So he's there in the 1,000-armed form on top of the Mandara mountain. And then he's also, he enters in the mode of goodness in the side of the demigods. It permeates the demons in the mode of passion, and poor Vasuki there in the side in the mode of ignorance, and also comes as Kurmadev to support the mountain when they're churning the mountain. So these are all the roles that the Lord is playing in this pastime. And so my question is, why does he, when the halahal poison comes out, why does he um, tell all the demigods to go to Lord Shiva? It's a very easy answer. Anyone? Does anyone remember? He could have drunk the poison himself, but why does he? I mean, he was doing all of these things, right? One more little thing he could have done. Why did he tell them to go to Lord Shiva and pray to Lord Shiva?
To glorify the devotees.
Yes, yes, yes. So that's important characteristic of the Lord, that he loves to glorify his devotees. He loves to give credit to his devotees. So this is one thing that we see in a lot of pastimes. The nature of the Lord is that he wants to give credit to his devotees, and the nature of the devotee is that he wants to give credit to the Lord. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, there is one chapter called Talks between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramanand Rai. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu meets this devotee, Ramanand Rai, and he asks him, as though he doesn't know about it. He asks him about what is the ultimate goal of life, and tell me the glories of the Lord. And Ramanand Rai is just, he tells him, he speaks about the glories and the ultimate goal. And Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami compares Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to an ocean of Siddhantic conclusions, and Ramanand Rai to a cloud. The clouds, they receive water from the ocean and then shower the water back again into the ocean. So that's the very beautiful relationship between the Lord and the devotee. And so Ramanand Rai says that I am a puppet and you're the puppeteer. Mora jibha veena yantra, tumi veena dhar. So my tongue is the veena and you're the expert player of the veena. And then another example is a very apt example today, because today is Makar Sankranti, the day of the passing away of Bhishma Dev. And so during the end of the war, Yudhishthir is very despondent, and he's saying that because of me, there is so much killing that was done. And he's just not able to be convinced. So there's Krishna who's present there himself, and he's trying to convince him. Krishna convinces Arjuna, but he's unable to convince Yudhishthir. Then Shakti Avatar, Vyasdev comes, and he's still not convinced. And then Paramatma in his heart is also telling him that, but he's still not convinced. So Gaur Gopal Prabhu gives a very beautiful lecture in which he's mentioning this point, that all these three avatars, the Leela avatar, the Shaktiavesh avatar, and the Purusha avatar, are collaborating to try and to give credit to Bhishma Dev. So none of these three avatars' words convince Yudhishthir. So Krishna tells the Pandavas to dress up gorgeously and go to meet Bhishma. And then Yudhishthir Maharaj asks all of these questions to Bhishma Dev. And all of these questions, all these three Krishnas have the capacity to answer, but simply to glorify Bhishma, Krishna arranges this entire pastime. So there's also this, often Prabhupada has said things like, I'm just an old man and I just eat nice prasad and simply take rest. And these young boys and girls are pushing forward the Krishna consciousness movement. And I'm taking all the credit. So Prabhupada always liked to give credit to his disciples. So one discussion point that I was thinking of when I was reading this part is how it's very nice when you're talking about devotees giving credit to each other, but what happens when somebody else takes away the credit for something you worked hard for. And this, speaking from personal experience, we were working on a project, and the credit, I mean, we both worked equally hard, and then at the end, I felt like I didn't get enough credit. So how do you deal with this situation? And we were devotees, we were all devotees. So yes, I would love to know your thoughts on this.
This is a tough one. Maharaj often says that there is a very famous quote of Maharaj. Okay, it's about taking. It says when we don't care about who gets the credit, something. It's very sublime or something. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it's again within devotee circles. At least ideally, we should not have that tendency to take credit. Now, what happens is, uh, if I observe myself, then usually I am after something material coming out of that spiritual thing, whatever accomplishment has happened. Something material, some form of puja labh pratishtha. I'm after that, and that would be a reason that I'm looking for credit there, right? And at least this is what I can think of right now. There could be some genuine like again, it's what is internally going on is very, very tough to ascertain for others. For ourselves we can definitely uh, look at our own hearts, what are we looking for, but like can't do this for others, like we don't know what's going on internally. For instance, there is this incident in the life of Prabhupada where Prabhupada saw like somewhere in India or somewhere abroad, some Prabhupada disciple was doing very well. He created a temple and many devotees, and it was a flourishing temple and all that. And then the local newspaper, they did an article on that temple. And then in that entire article, there was nowhere, Prabhupada's name was nowhere. And then, just that devotee who was there, the local leader, the disciple of Prabhupada, his name was there, and other names, who were assisting in the project. But Prabhupada's name was not there anywhere. So then when Prabhupada saw that, he became very disappointed. He said, "Why is my name not here?" And then devotees felt bad, and then Prabhupada explained that the reason I'm asking is, today if I get sidelined as the founder acharya, if I get sidelined, then there will start happening conflict slowly, and this is the seed that is being sown here. So Prabhupada explained that unless you have him as the center, unless you have your guru in the center, and you give him all the credit, and then we can stay united as a movement. So then I think that is the reason why in ISKCON temples, if you see anywhere, like in India especially, I've seen this everywhere, not just one ISKCON temple, most of them, everywhere actually. So it will say Radha Gopinath temple, ISKCON Radha Gopinath temple, and then below it will say Founder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhu. Everywhere. Pune
Yeah.
Radha Vrindavan Chandra temple, Founder Acharya, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, like that. So yeah, it depends on why we are looking for the credit also. So that has to be seen as well. So.
That's a very beautiful understanding you gave that. Yeah, Prabhupada did I mean want that credit to be given, because he was fighting in the sense like he was speaking on the behalf, he was representing his parampara. So that's what it makes sense to kind of ask or for that credit, and it's not entirely like wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
Aishwarya is writing, turn to Krishna and learn to not be hurt by it. Have faith that Lord and Guru knows everything. Just keep going and focus on Krishna and save us. Yes, it's yes, that's one goal you can have. Yes, Krishnan Prabhu.
One of my favorite definitions of humility, it's there in the Bhagavad Gita as it is the absence of our desire to be to get praise.
Hmm.
And so so Srila Prabhupada doesn't define humility as to do less work or something like that, or he says that he doesn't even say that people should not praise us for doing good work. He says we should not yearn for the to seek praise, and that is what that's how he defines humility. And so I think the situation that you mentioned, the question that you had about somebody else taking all the credit or something like that, that's something that happens in material life all the time, and we have to guard against it, obviously, because we don't want to be taken for a we don't want to be walked all over. But at the same time, we have to also remember this definition of humility. So I don't know. It's a really good question. It's a really good discussion point, I think.
I like how you mentioned both sides of the coin, like humility, not meaning that you have to be. Jagannath Gopal Prabhu has pulled up this definition from Bhagavad Gita. Humility means that one should not be anxious to have the satisfaction of being honored by others. So yeah, the point of being humble, but also the point of being on your guard and not allowing something like that to happen easily to you. So I like these. I like this. Yeah.
Yeah, the reason, one reason for that is, at least in the material world, if you let it happen all the time, then people will take us for granted and they will walk all over us.
Yeah.
And obviously in the devotee community, it hopefully it won't happen that often, but even if it does happen, we can
Guard against it.
we
There are
can
ways.
guard, yeah. Yes.
Yes, Nitya Kishori Mataji.
Yeah. The definitions are great, and the understanding that, we should be like this, humility is this, all that is nice. But one should, this is my opinion, is that, these are all very high bars. So, we may not expect, the question is, we may not expect the credit in the first place. I mean, this is just one variation. But when the due credit is taken away, then we feel a pinch, right? And I feel that, yes, having this, turning to Krishna and, remembering the definition of humility, all that is good. But then we are all humans. We must understand where we are at, honor the pinch, and reach out to either your peers or your mentors or somebody whom you think that your position will be heard. This is even in, I'm saying, even in real life, I mean, sorry, devotee life.
Right.
It in not just corporate, also we do that. We approach our managers, and say, hey, I also did, lots of weeknights and weekends, and, I lost my family, time because of working on this project. Similarly, why should we suddenly become like another person in the devotee field, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we cannot be. We can only pretend to be. The thought will keep on haunting us. But I feel that one of the best ways to approach it is to reach out, express that, Prabhu or Mataji, I'm feeling that I also contributed. I wasn't expecting the credit in the first place, but the fact that somebody else was recognized and I wasn't, it I felt bad. Just expressing that will not only we will find a relief in just expressing our thoughts, but also the other person whom they are hearing may be able to express that to the concerned party and provide a relief for the next time it doesn't happen, or kind of find a solution or something like that. So I don't think masking it, thinking that we are pure devotees, and or even like this is what I must be doing, when in fact at the in the deepest level it keeps still pinching us.
Right.
Yeah, that is just my opinion.
Yeah, this is really great, Mataji. A very practical way to go about this. So I got a whole spectrum of answers to like be on your to read to feel the pinch. I'm just summarizing because it is so beautiful to feel the pinch, to reach out, to express, to be on your guard, to understand the definition of humility, because I think that's also important, and yes, also turn towards Krishna and having faith in Krishna and focusing on Krishna. So I loved all of these entire spectrum of answers. Okay. Okay, I'm going to move on to one last slide that I have. That is Vaishnava's compassion. Tapyante lokatapena. So Lord Shiva, we see he goes through such a huge, like he's willing to go through so much suffering just for benefiting the humanity at large, and that is one of the characteristics of Vaishnavas. They are para dukha dukhi. They cannot see the suffering of others, and they're willing to go out of their way to help others. So we've also heard often of this of Srila Prabhupada's example of how he went through immense difficulties, all of those heart attacks, and he said that he was in ecstasy at Radha Damodar temple in India, in Vrindavan, and at other points of time, he's also mentioned that he was is happy serving Krishna in Goloka, and he took the he came down to the material world just for helping take everybody back towards Krishna. So again, Gaurgopal Prabhu mentions this very beautiful point in his lecture. He talks about Rahu drinks the nectar, but I mean his neck is cut off and his entire body is like dead basically, and he becomes infamous in history. And Shivji drinks poison, but he becomes famous famous for his act. And this is because Rahu's act was motivated by selfish desire for immortality, which actually ended up making him infamous throughout history. And Shivji's act was motivated by a selfless desire to serve the humanity, which made him immortal, so to speak, in the in history. So I just want to yes, bring up this last point of discussion for today. I think it's a little too. I mean, we are very short of time. So just if somebody can quickly give a few points on how to practically cultivate this kind of empathy, compassion.
Mataji, just quick thing. You can go on for a few more minutes, actually. It's fine. We don't have to hurry it up or anything because we started a little late also, so it's fine.
Okay, and this is basically my last slide. So I mean, we're good. I was reading one article that talked about empathy, and there were some nice points that the writer was mentioning. Is that she talks about judging others less and not being so eager to put labels on everybody. That's one of the ways to cultivate empathy. And reflective listening or empathic listening, which requires the listener to summarize the speaker's words and feelings behind those words. And the third way that she talks about is looking to serve rather than exploit. These are the three, I felt, pretty practical ways to cultivate or be more compassionate. And as someone who struggles with, developing these feelings of compassion as a hard-hearted person, I'm always looking for, ways or understandings of how to be a more empathetic person. Yes, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu.
So there is this book by Satsvarup Maharaj called Vaishnava Compassion. And in the beginning itself, he makes very, very strong points, actually. I think those are like revolutionary points. Prithu, please. So, actually, Megha Mataji can go. I'll speak later. Yeah.
Megha, you want to go? Megha, are you speaking? We can't hear you.
Actually, I can go. I answered Prithu's question, so I can speak now. So, in that book, he writes that actually, to cultivate compassion toward others, we have to start developing compassion for our own selves, he says. And how is that? He says, what does it mean to develop compassion for our own selves? Means to be accepting of our humanity, like of our humanness, rather, that we are also humans. We are not, I mean, we ourselves. I am a human. I'm not like an unlimited being like the Lord. And when I start accepting my own limitations and my own humanness, that time I can start becoming more self-compassionate. And when I do that, then I can start expanding my boundaries, expanding my horizons of compassion to include others in it. So, and he says it's not about lowering our aspirations or our he means it this self-compassion. It doesn't mean we start lowering our aspirations or we start lowering our allegiance to the vows that we made. That is not self-compassion, but it is like a genuine balance between who we are and who we wish to become, and to acknowledge our needs or relax rigidity. So, like that, he says compassion toward others actually starts with compassion to our own selves, and slowly we start expanding.
Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
Yeah, like that. So, and this is another nice quote by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in Jaiva Dharma. So he said, this is a very nice quote actually. When I read it, it was very inspiring. The tenderness of heart experienced towards Krishna is known as bhakti. All other jivas are servants of Krishna. When one experiences tenderness of heart toward them, it is known as daya, compassion. Therefore, compassion is included within bhakti. Yes.
Yeah. What was the name of the book again? Sorry, Prabhuji.
Jaiva Dharma.
I think no, the earlier Vaishnava compassion.
Our compassion, yes, by Satswarup Maharaj. So, yeah. He also makes a very another revolutionary point. He says just by being in a compassionate institution doesn't mean we are compassionate. So he writes that we have the greatest solution for everything. Like we have the para upkar, right? In the form of Krishna consciousness. Na matadli gating Prithu. Prithu, please, Amma, Ninder na matadli gatini. So he says, we have the greatest gift for the world, the greatest solution, which is Krishna consciousness. But the fact that we have the greatest solution doesn't mean we are the greatest of compassionate people. He says
Right.
other paths whose solution may not be as good as ours or whatever, they may just be an intermediate solution or a temporary solution. But they as individuals may be more compassionate and more hardworking in terms of spreading their compassion to others. So he also says that compassion is a very internal quality that needs to be developed. It doesn't just come by being part of an institution like ISKCON or something like that. It doesn't just come automatically. It
Yeah.
needs to be cultivated. So that's why I like this point that how to cultivate compassion that you're bringing up here. So,
Yeah, and I think it's a very day to day, moment by moment, conscious choice, at least for me, uh, to choosing to be like compassionate. Like, yeah, it's. I remember that Maharaj once when I asked him about how to, like he said this, that be more kind to everyone. So that's something that I just try to keep in my consciousness every time, and yeah, it's a choice that I make. Um, anyone has anything more to say? Okay.
Can you repeat your initial points, Sundari Saki, that you said initially before Prabhu told his points? You
The
mentioned three things, I think.
Oh yeah. So what I'll send you the link to that article also. So I forgot the name of Archana Siddhar Devidas, if I'm not wrong. She's the author of this article. She talks about not like judging others less. So not being eager to put labels so quickly on people. That's one. The second is reflective listening or empathic listening, which requires the listener to summarize the speaker's words and feelings behind them. And the third is looking to serve rather than exploit. She, I think, writes a few more points, but these were the three that struck me, and I felt that I could really use in my um, life. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, dear devotees, and good night.
Thank you, Sundari.
Mataji.
Beautiful,
Sorry.
beautiful class. A lot of very healthy discussions, very uh, like practical questions that you brought up as a discussion points. I really like that slide where you asked about what are the forms of the Lord that you can see. That was nice. Thank you so much. You like really well prepared and well thought out class.
Thank you, Andaji. It took me a lot of effort because I'm not used to like yeah. I mean it was very enjoyable, but it was fun. It was genuinely fun. Thank you, Jagannath Gopal Prabhu, for like actually encouraging me to do this.
No, really, I echo Mataji's words that, yeah, it was an amazing discussion that you led, Mataji. And yeah, I mean, you've been asking me, questions. So you were very sincerely trying to, do justice to this seva. So that is really inspiring. Thank you very much for that. And yeah, I mean, we look forward to hearing more from you. So yeah, the way I'm trying is, uh, you know, devotees. I don't want to trouble devotees like consecutive weeks, same devotees. So I'll reach out to devotees after a gap or something. So, but yeah, I will reach out to you again, maybe in some subsequent.
After a long gap.
Yeah, whether the gap is long or not depends on many logistics, but there will be a gap for sure. Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So who ends the meeting? Do I end the meeting?
No, I think the host will,
Okay.
and Prabhuji
I
would have
think,
to.
yeah, I think one of you as co-host can end, Prabhu.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think probably
Yeah,
forgot
so
to.
Satya Mataji is a co-host, so you can end Mataji.
Oh, I can just leave meeting, it says, Prabhuji.
Oh, is it? Mm, let's see. Can you make me? Oh no, that won't help. Maybe if everyone leaves,
Please, yeah.
how should we?
Or I can remove everyone.
No, that's the same as everyone leaving, no?
Yeah,
And you can't remove the host, I think. So,
yeah.
how should we do this?
Is there a way to claim host as a co-host? No?
I am a. Okay, let me check. No, I can just pin add profile pictures.
Okay. He's probably resting because he's not well. It's okay. Whenever he sees it, that's okay. We can just end it.
We can just, okay, just leave.